So I'm seeing a trend here, and it's at least a short-term trend, but I think it's a trend. So 2 days ago, I put this out, Russia's battlefield tempo weakening, and I think it is, and I'll show you in the numbers what that is. And then yesterday we saw this. It's working. Ukraine is degrading Russia's war machine, and I think one is spilling into the other. We're going to talk about that in this video today. So hello, my friends. My name is Gerdes. I'm just a professor trying to provide you context in the war in Ukraine. It is Thursday, February 6, 2025, and this is the Daily Brief. So we'll start here with the casualties, 1240. Again, another day of low numbers. All week it's been low numbers, and I think that's going to continue for a little while unless something significant changes. 18 tanks off the battlefield, 16 armored fighting vehicles, 46 artillery systems, 133 vehicles and fuel tanks on February 6th. And this number here with the vehicles and fuel tanks, it was very high yesterday as well. Here, Andrew Perpetua's lists the losses he could identify for the third. It's about, what, 3, almost 4 to 1. So that was a good day for the third. And then it's not as good the next day. It's about 1.5 to 1. And then on the next day, the 5th, he's just catching up. It's about 2.5 maybe to 1, maybe 3 to 1, not quite. So yeah, there's a lot of losses, and you see it feels like there's a little bit of a shift here and a swinging of momentum. We'll talk about that in just a moment. So out of 77 Shaheds launched, 56 were shot down, and another 18 were suppressed by electronic warfare. So most of them, and yet still overnight Russian forces struck Kharkiv's Barabashovo market, one of largest industrial and clothing markets in Ukraine and Eastern Europe, causing a massive fire that destroyed numerous stalls, according to the mayor. And so it's not like they're not doing damage. They still are able to do some significant damage. Now, yesterday I showed you this, the correlation between Ukraine's ongoing destruction of Russia's oil industry and Russia's daily military assaults is probably no coincidence. So we looked at average daily assaults by month. So that's how many times on the battlefield that Russia is attacking Ukrainian. And generally, it's Russia attacking Ukrainians because Ukrainians are in a defensive posture. So again, in November it was 174, in December it was 202, in January it's 164, in February so far it's been 95. And then when you look at Michael McKay, he's talking about today, that's in the last 24 hours, there are only 80 combat engagements, 9 in Kursk and 71 on the front line. And again, the average for February so far had been 95. So you can feel the tempo, the momentum slowing. And so that's where we are. Okay, in the Pakros direction, for example, and I'm only highlighting Pakros, there were only 20 engagements. Now, go back a week or two ago, and there were 60 engagements regularly each day, or 60 or more. So you can feel something shifting. Now, here's what's really interesting about that. Russian officials continue to justify the Kremlin's decision not to conduct an involuntary reserve call-up at this time, despite indications that Russian military is struggling to recruit enough personnel to replace high casualties. So I'm wondering, like, I don't know anything for a fact. I'm just speculating here. I'm wondering if they're like, these meat waves have to slow down. We can't spend the men in the same way that we've been spending them. I don't know that. I'm just thinking out loud. Don't say, Gerdes said that the Russians are trying to slow down. I don't know that they are, but something is slowing. These Russian Duma deputies are likely claiming that Russia recruitment rates are sufficient. The Russian military may be struggling to recruit enough military personnel, however. The Russian military's monthly recruitment rate is likely equal to or below the quantity needed to replace Russia's monthly casualty rate 1 to 1. So that's the ISW talking about it. And I think that's part of what's going on here, but I'm not sure how it's all connected. Okay, let's switch gears and look at this. Jay and Keith posted this. Thankfully, Russian incompetence continues to be Ukraine's most reliable ally, because 2 hours ago, everyone in Ukraine received a warning that Russians were about to launch their Orishnik missile toward Kyiv. And then we see this translation, something heavy, presumably the vaunted Orishnik, was launched from the Astrakhan region at the territory of Ukraine. Possible target was Kyiv, but the missile did not fly far and fell on their territory. So we don't know what that was, but okay. Now, On the other side of the equation, a key Russian drone launch site in Krasnodar Krai used to send deadly Shaheds to Ukraine went up in flame after a massive Ukrainian strike. So that was some good news. Again, the Ukrainians keep targeting, like, okay, what did we see that the Shaheds hit? It was a manufacturing area for clothes and that sort of thing. What did the Ukrainians hit? And almost every time that you see what did the Ukrainians hit, it was a drone and missile production factory or a oil depot or something militarily related. And that's what they keep doing. And over time, that wears them down. The Russian airfield, the Ukrainian unmanned systems forces, hit a facility used for storing and launching Shahed kamikaze drones and maintaining aircraft operating in the occupied territories. So that's what they're targeting here. Now, there were also explosions in Volgograd. Likely Ukrainian drones were attacking, and you saw that, like, people caught on camera, like, something flashing across the sky. So, okay, I don't know much more about that. Now, let's turn our attention to Kursk. To the dismay of Russian channels, Ukrainian forces are now advancing in Russia's Kursk region, having entered the town of Fanaseevka. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but Fanaseevka is southeast of Sutsa. Okay, and according to the Russian sources, this is Noel reports, Ukrainian forces have reportedly entered Fanaseevka. It is still very preliminary to determine what the extent of the attack is, but several Russian sources confirm that Ukrainian forces are indeed attacking on this axis. So, I mean, they are moving that direction, and we'll see how things pan out there. Now, this was interesting. In Kursk, there was this video. This guy's just driving along the road, and as you're seeing driving along the road, you're seeing this, wreckage all across the road of a vehicle here, a vehicle there, a vehicle on the other side, vehicle back on. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing what it looks like there. Okay. Now, 3 years into Russia's invasion, support among Russians remains high. According to polling, Russian Public Opinion Research Center, 67% back the invasion. This is 67% of Russians back the invasion. 65% see it as successful. Well, why wouldn't they? I mean, they're seeing Solyov talk and they're seeing Russian news. They're not seeing Western news talking about how slowly they're advancing, what the devastating losses are. And you can't really even say the word war without potentially going to jail. Optimism peaked in March 2022 at 70%, but still 70% to 65%. That's not much of a decline over the time that the war has dragged on. Okay, peace talks could happen by late 2025, says a Ukrainian Armed Forces serviceman is speaking in an interview. So we see different estimates. We see the U.S. talking about 90 days, maybe we'll have something. We see the Turkish foreign minister yesterday saying by the summer, this guy saying by the end of 2025. We might still be talking about this in 2026. We just don't know. Russian forces are advancing slowly, but they are exhausted, he says, while Ukraine prepares counterattacks and regains the initiative. And I think that's really the story here, that Ukraine has regained some initiative. Not that they're attacking and pushing back the Russians, but that the momentum has slowed significantly for Russia. Now you see Aludinov, the Akhmat commander, Aludinov, has already denied responsibility for fighting for the fighting area in Kursk, where the intrusion is now. The enemy has launched an offensive. The special forces, Akhmat, have never been in this area, he says. He's justifying why things are falling apart on his watch. Well, he's the same guy that was talking. Let's see. Here's Newsweek. It was June of 2024. Russian general floats a deadline for the end of Putin's war. Remember, he said it was all over. He was saying, yeah, the decisive battle is about to happen and it's all over. We've been in Kursk 6 months now. 6 months, and at the very start of it, he was saying it's all over. He further stated that Ukraine had moved a lot of forces there, most of their units, to the northeastern region that has long been a focal point of the war. This will be a decisive battle for us, in which we will destroy the remaining forces and means. After that, I believe, as I've already stated earlier, we will finish the special military operation this year. That was in June of 2024. The commander said, adding that we will put an end to it. Well, didn't work out so well. Okay, finally, Darth Putin here. We'll take Kyiv in 3 days and in 2022. And in 2025, we can't retake Kursk in 6 months. Well, yeah, that is kind of the state that they're in. Now, this I found interesting. The soldiers are throwing snowballs at tankers. Well, they're all on the same team. They're just having a bit of fun here. So, Ukrainian soldiers are on the side throwing snowballs at Ukrainian tankers just for kicks and giggles. So, just looks like fun. Okay, and just one bit of advice. This is a public service announcement. Backhanding a drone is a bad idea. This is Andrew Perpetua showing just a little still shot of this video. Yeah, didn't work out well for the guy. And finally, good morning. Start your day with a good cup of coffee and stand with Ukraine. Thank you for your time, my friends. Thank you for the likes and the shares and the subscribes. And thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.